Give me a castle and I'll appreciate it, but give me one rock, a bad axe, and a shack I built myself, and I'll suddenly care about the zoning laws. Games that you start with nothing have an unfair advantage. Every improvement has a before picture. The first storage box matters because you remember dropping junk on the ground. The first vehicle because you remember walking everywhere. And the first automated machine because you crafted everything by hand like an exhausted medieval inter. Progress is not just a number going up, it's the problem disappearing. That contrast is why survival games, colony sims, tycoons, and automation games can turn tiny upgrades into emotional events. And it also explains why late game power sometimes feels less satisfying than the first hour. Once convenience becomes normal, the game has to invent a new kind of scarcity or the magic starts flattening out. Games tell us we're going to get stronger constantly. Level up, new skills, better weapons, bigger numbers, but abstract power is easy to normalize. If enemies scale with you and every area gives you proportionally stronger gear, level 40 can feel simultaneously similar to level 10 wearing a more expensive hat. Starting with nothing creates a before picture. You remember gathering wood by hand, you remember carrying tiny amounts, and you remember being terrified of a creature that later becomes a minor inconvenience. You remember sleeping in a box with architectural qualities best described as technically enclosed. That memory turns later convenience into a reward. Some of the best progression is not gaining a new attack, it's deleting an old problem. Walking takes forever, unlock a mount. Mining is slow, automate it. Storage is cramped, expand it. Food spoils, so we refrigerate it. Manual production is slow, so we assign workers. And a dangerous route becomes routine because our gear has improved. That is satisfying because progress changes your daily behavior. The game does not merely tell you that you're stronger. It stops asking you to do things that once consumed your attention. This is why early progression often feels disproportionately good. Going from 0 storage to 1 chest is transformative. Going from 9 chests to 10 is inventory management. Going from no movement upgrade to your first mount changes the map. Going from a mount that is 12% faster to one that's 14% doesn't have the same impact. The first upgrade crosses a category boundary. Later upgrades often improve a metric inside the same category. New verbs beat larger numbers. Now I can build, automate, fly, even trade or hire people. Now I can process a resource I previously ignored. Those are progression moments the brain remembers. Starting with nothing also makes the finished result feel like it's yours. A pre-made base is content. A base you built from a pathetic wood platform into a functioning operation is history. The ugly original corner still means something because it marks where the whole thing started. Maybe your layout's insufficient. Maybe a normal person would rebuild. You refuse because that badly placed furnace is basically a historical landmark now. That's emergent attachment. The game did not write a cutscene explaining why the build matters. You remember the labor that created it. Early scarcity also created better decisions. When you have almost nothing, every resource opportunity counts. Do I build the tool, storage, weapon, station, or shelter first? Do I spend now or save for an unlock? Do I risk an expedition for a resource I need? Later abundance can flatten those choices. When every chest is overflowing, crafting becomes administrative. This is why good survival games keep introducing a new scarcity at higher levels. Not necessarily by making you poor again, but by creating a new bottleneck. You solved wood, now electricity matters. You solved food, now logistics matters. You solved basic production, now throughput matters. The problems evolve with you. Palworld gets a lot of mileage from this structure. Your early character is fragile, gathering is manual, and traveling is slow. Your base is tiny and your roster's limited. Then each system starts removing a limitation. Pals work, mounts help with travel, technology expands production, better gear lets you challenge areas that once looked suicidal. The creature collecting and survival progression amplifies each other. The new pal is not only a collection entry, it can be a new capability. That makes the climb feel layered. Now here's the test for progression games. Does the late game make you remember the early game? If I can look at what I have and immediately remember what used to be difficult, then progression worked. If I'm merely fighting higher level enemies with higher level gear while the rhythm remains unchanged, the numbers progressed more than the experience did. This is why so many survival games feel magical early and strangely flat later on. Once food, shelter, transportation, storage, and basic danger are solved, the original problems cannot keep carrying the experience. Good games replace that scarcity instead of merely deleting it. Maybe logistics becomes the challenge. Maybe scale introduces coordination problems. Maybe expansion creates threats. Maybe specialization forces you a trade-off. Starting with nothing works because every gain matters. Staying interested requires the game to make your new abundance create a different kind of problem rather than turning the rest of the run into maintenance. Starting from nothing also makes the world feel larger. When a short trip is dangerous and every tool is limited, distance has weight. Later, when you cross the same space with a vehicle, fast travel, automation, or ridiculous equipment, the world is not physically changed, but your relationship to it has. That is progression you can feel without opening a stat page. The game taught you scale by making you live inside limitation first, which is why the memory of being weak matters long after weakness itself stops being fun. Every shop simulator starts with nothing glamorous. A little store, limited stock, shelves that look embarrassingly empty. Every upgrade matters because you can still remember the problem it solved. One more shelf changes how much product you can move. More cash changes what you can stock. A better layout changes the flow of the room. Eventually, the store looks ordinary because you built your way into ordinary. That's the trick. Competence feels powerful only because the game gave you a before picture where competence was impossible. Palworld does the same thing with tools, mounts, production, and bases. The first time a job becomes automated, it feels amazing because you personally did the annoying version. Starting with nothing makes conveniences feel earned instead of assumed. A lot of games want to sell fantasy immediately, so when they start the player with an impressive kit, I understand the logic. The opening should show the fun fast, but there's a difference between showing me the fantasy and giving me the finished fantasy. If your storage is already organized, travel's already easy, and combat already has 10 options, money's abundant, and progression becomes incremental, I'm adding percentage points to life that already works. Starting with nothing lets progression change the world. Yesterday I carried it. Today the system carries it. Yesterday the distance was dangerous. Today I own transportation. Those are transformations, not upgrades. Scarcity is not automatically interesting. If starting with nothing means punching the same tree for 40 minutes, walking half speed, or repeating chores that teach nothing, then the game has confused deprivation with progress. The opening needs quick wins. Let me feel weak, then let me solve the weakness. Give me a tiny problem, a visible upgrade, and a new problem immediately behind it. The magic is contrast, not suffering. I want to remember being poor because I'm capable, not because the game made me file paperwork before the fun started. This is also why late game needs resets. New regions, new production tiers, new strategic problems. Once every old inconvenience is solved, the game has to create a new frontier where I feel partially incompetent again. Against the Storm literally does this by making settlements temporary. Palworld can do this through new biomes and systems. Management games do it through expansion. The structure keeps working because the player is repeatedly allowed to experience small versions of 0 to 1. Starting with nothing is addictive because nothing makes every improvement visible. This is why I'll often remember the first real mount, first useful employee, the first automated production line, or the first profitable expansion more vividly than the endgame upgrades with 10 minutes and the stats. Early upgrades change who I'm allowed to be. I stop being the person who walks. I stop being the person who stocks every shelf. I stop being that person who mines every resource by hand. Later upgrades improve a role I already have. The 0 to 1 transition changes the role itself. Games that understand that keep finding new ways to make you a beginner at something without deleting everything you already earned. Prestige and reset mechanics make sense when they intentionally recreate the before picture. A tycoon game wipes some progress but lets knowledge and permanent bonuses survive, or a familiar upgrade becomes meaningful again inside a new scale. Against the Storm does this throughout temporary settlements rather than a prestige button. The danger is resetting only to replay chores. The reset earns its place when the new beginning asks faster, stranger, more strategic versions of the old questions. Starting with nothing is addictive because every improvement has context. A chest matters because your inventory was full. A vehicle matters because you walked. Automation matters because you worked manually. Strong weapons matter because the wilderness used to terrify you. Good progression is contrast. The best games let you look backwards and feel the distance traveled without needing a level number to explain it. So yes, give me nothing. Make me scrape together the first ugly solution. Then let me build something so excessive that the original problem becomes almost funny. That's not just progression. That's a story told through convenience.